All right, all right. It looks like we are live. I'm gonna wait a second for people to start jumping in here. Let's see. Okay, people starting to come in. I see people coming in. We're gonna wait just a second. Today is a little different. I actually don't have a guest. I am the special guest. So you have a full. We'll probably go for about 45 minutes today. Today I wanted to talk about. We get a lot of questions around starting a record label, and this is a session that I probably should have done a long time ago as well, because I think there's a lot of interest in this topic. But starting a record label can mean a lot of different things. So I want to talk about that today. I'm going to allow people to come live on camera to ask questions too. I already have some people queued up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the link. I'm going to post the link in the comment section. And I know that only about 10 people are allowed to be queued up at once. So I'm going to put the link in here. Hopefully people get it. And if you already know you have a question about starting a record label, maybe you started and you run into a few issues for one reason or another, we can talk about it. And for the people that are like, well, what do you know about starting a record label? I ran a label. I think most people know on this platform that I ran a label for about 8 years, and we started it literally from nothing, right? Like we started it. I didn't have any music industry experience. And I worked with Hobson and my brother to start a label that did really well. And we built it into a platform that was bigger than just kind of us, putting out music. We eventually signed artists. We eventually signed a distribution deal with Warner. So we have I have a bit of experience, and I have a perspective on, a lot of you guys wanting to start a label. And I think to start, we should probably talk about like what a label is, because now, since everybody is allowed and has access to, distributing their music on the same platforms that the majors distribute their music, everybody can be kind of a record label, right? Like if you're distributing your music by yourself and you're distributing your own music, you're kind of your own record label. So that's one side of the spectrum. And then you have the other side of the spectrum, which is like your major labels, the full infrastructure, the global presence, probably a lot more money and resources than we have access to. And then it's like things in between, independent labels. So, I think some people, are just happy putting out their music on their own, and they consider themselves their own record label. But then some people have aspirations of working with other artists, signing artists, becoming an independent record label, or maybe eventually, working with a major record label and having like their label imprint as part of a major label system as well. So let's see. I got a number of topics. I see some people already coming in here that have some questions. I think one thing that we need to talk about too is, because I think that there are some advantages, even though major labels obviously have a lot more resources than we do, have a lot more relationships, they've been around a lot longer. I think that as challenging as starting a record label is, there's definitely some advantages that you have over major record labels if you're able to build out something that gets some momentum. I think branding is huge when you're starting your record label, right? Like, what is your label going to be about? What does it represent? What types of artists is it going to house? What genre? What is your approach? Because much like an artist has a brand and a story, I think your label needs to have that as well. So you need to think about it from an organization standpoint, and why that's an advantage over like a major, like a Sony or a Warner or whoever, is because, like as Funk Volume, like we had fans of Funk Volume, right? There are no fans of Warner, right? Like nobody outside of like an employee from Warner is going to rock a Warner shirt. Def Jam, they used to have fans of Def Jam, but even now Def Jam is like, and Def Jam is part of a bigger, Universal. But I think that's one of the things that we have over major record labels, is like you can develop a fan base that becomes fans of your organization and not just the artist. There's a lot of trust built up so that when you work with new artists, your fans hopefully trust your organization enough that you're going to put out something of quality and at least give that new artist a chance. So we can give, once your organization has fans, you know, that's something that a major label can't give to an artist. Like we can, as an independent, if you have fans of your independent label, you know, we can give a new artist immediate exposure to fans. I mean, yes, major labels can do that with money, but we already have a fan base that trusts us, that knows us, that's rooting for us. And I think that's a huge advantage of an independent record label over a major. Another thing that I think is crucial, and I think in his advantage over of a major, because a major is so big, uh, independent or smaller labels can be more nimble and more quick. There's less red tape. You make decisions faster. You can pivot faster. You can take in information and act on that information faster. So there are definitely some advantages that we have, even though major labels have been around for decades and they have a stranglehold on like the bigger playlist. They have relationships. They got money. They got in-house team to do everything. But you know, there are definitely some advantages if you take it seriously and build your label out the right way, where you can have some advantages over majors. Let me see. Let me just see in the chat room. Seems like more people are popping in now, for sure, for sure. All right, cool. So I also wanted to talk about well, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to labels, right? The different types of deals you sign, how to find artists, and in no way do I think that we're gonna cover everything in this 45 minutes to an hour. So I definitely want to get to questions sooner rather than later. But I also want to emphasize that, you know, starting a record label is a very risky business. It's not, you know, it's not an easy business to start. So I don't want to make it sound easy. It's one of those things that sounds really cool to do, and you know, there could be a lot of excitement and energy built up initially. But you're definitely going to run into, I mean, unless you already have like a bunch of money to throw at it and you got relationships and things like that, it might be an easier road for you. But I never want to over glorify, you know, a label, because a lot of people want to do it, and there's not going to be that many people that are successful for many different reasons. But starting a label is a very difficult thing to do, just because there's so many people that want to do it, and music is a very crowded space, much like just being an individual artist. You know, it's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of time and dedication, maybe a little bit of luck, and it's finding the right talent, getting on the same page, managing everybody's expectations. It's not a very easy thing to do. So for those that are like, man, I'm just gonna start a label real quick and we're gonna be cool, it's probably not going to work like that for you. I also think that, you know, because everybody has access to distribution, and because I think the most important piece is like getting people's attention, I think that there are a lot of brands that are in a good position to start a label if they want to. At this point, I think that anybody that has, you know, attention, or any type of brand that has a, you know, attention or a lot of followers, could turn into a record label potentially. And we've seen that, right? We've seen it with, you know, I think the best example that's been at it for over a decade is Red Bull. You know, Red Bull started a record label, and they have a few artists that have been decently successful. I'm not sure how, I've never been on the inside of the Red Bull process, so I'm not sure how seriously they've taken it. And I'm not even sure if they want Red Bull to be like a profitable standalone business, as opposed to kind of more of a marketing arm to sell more energy drinks, right? Because Red Bull is obviously a well-established brand. So I'm not sure where on the priority list like Red Bull Music exists. But we've also seen it with Ethica. I don't know, and people know Ethica. They started as just an underwear line. They have a record label now. I know that they've been working with artists. I don't think any of their artists have gotten traction yet, but they have a record label. I know that Starbucks tried a record label and they have since closed that down. They closed that down a while ago. But long story short, I think that anybody with a platform or any brand with an existing platform could take a shot at, getting artist exposure and starting a label. So as much as I try to run away from music, we're actually thinking of getting back into music with the comedians that I work with. So I work with a comedian named Big Ja, who does really well. He's got like over 2 million followers on Facebook, and he's got over 1 million on YouTube. And he's a music fan. I'm a fan of music. We're both R&B fans, so we're like, why don't we try to get artists some exposure through your platform? So we're starting to figure out like how that might look. Do we want to build out a full funk volume like I had before, or do we just want to do something a little less stressful? And I think we're going to inch into it. But now we have the platforms to be able to do it in a pretty, like, it's not completely riskless, but it's a less risky way, right? Because we have a platform to get artists exposure. He puts out sketches all the time, and we put music in the sketches, and we've seen that when we put some of the songs in his sketches, like, they go. So we've seen it. We've proven that it's a value add to the artists that we've already worked with. So why don't we make this a more formal thing and develop some partnerships with artists? And it's cool because we have distribution platforms now where we can split ownership and make it very easy, right? And you can customize deals depending on, where an artist is in their career, right? So if you're working with an artist that doesn't really have that much going for themselves, they don't really have that many streams, they don't really have that many followers, they're relatively new, but they make good music, then maybe the percentage is more shifted in your favor because you're offering, resources, money, know-how, relationships. But if you're working with an artist that wants to work with you, they're well established, and they're bringing a little bit more to the table, you cater that deal differently, right? You maybe get less. It's the same if you were going to a major. I mean, the specifics, you work that out on a deal by deal basis. But with Ja and I, we're like, okay, let's just, and we've already worked with some artists and didn't take a percentage of anything. We just promoted them on the platform just to see, for us, like, what is the benefit of his platform? Like, how many streams can be attributed to, putting some artists' music into his sketches, so we can learn and be like, okay, so we feel we have a better understanding of the value of the existing platform. Add to that, my experience in working with artists. And then we'll be able to come up with what we think is a fair split as we work with artists. And I think another thing too is, like, we don't, you can sign artists for certain amount of albums or whatever, but we're thinking on the other side, like, okay, let's just do a single. Let's put out a single a month or a single a week, and just to see how it goes, because it's very tough when you start working with artists to be able to manage expectations and build that relationship. So that might be an approach that some of you guys want to take, is just inch into it, right? Like, let's just start with a single. Let's see how that goes. If that goes well, maybe we do another single and build up to an album or multiple albums. So there are a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different situations, but the great thing is we have tools and resources to be able to cater to these different scenarios and make things more fair, make things more transparent, make the accounting more transparent, right? Because if you have distribution platforms that are able to split the proceeds straight from the distribution platform, then you don't have to worry about, having an accountant in-house that's divvying up royalties on, a quarterly basis, monthly basis, however you decide to set things up. So it looks like I do have quite a few people that are queued up that have some questions. There are so many things that we can talk about, right? Like all the different revenue streams, like how we did merch, marketing, like how do you get the word out? How do you mobilize your fan base? So I think it would be best to bring some people on so I can just make sure I'm addressing at least a few people's questions specifically, as opposed to taking the conversation in, 20 different ways and maybe not touching on the things that I think you guys want to know about. But just knowing that, heck, it's not that easy to start a record label. I think everybody should know that up front. But it's possible. Branding is very important. Because that's what we have over the majors at this point. So let me bring on, let's see, Cole, I'm gonna bring you in here and we'll chop it up real quick, see what questions you have, and then we'll keep it rocking. Cole, what's up, man?
Not a lot, man. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. You got a question about, are you starting a label, or what's your interest in this topic?
Yeah, so I'm currently managed 2 artists. One of my artists has built up a pretty decent platform. Looking at starting a label on his side. And so my main question, one that I've been researching and trying to figure out, like on the tax side, whenever y'all had Funk Volume, like, did y'all have an LLC? Did you have an S Corp, C Corp? Like, how did y'all set that up to make sure that all your stuff is in order so you don't have trouble, down the road whenever that stuff starts coming around? That's really one of the more complex things I'm trying to figure out right now.
No. Super important. So we did have, contrary to Illmind 8, we did have an accountant that did all our bookkeeping, kept things very organized. Our structure was an LLC. Now, one thing I'm not going to do on here is, because I'm not an accountant. I know that it could, I think for most independent labels, an LLC makes a lot of sense. But I don't want to give that advice out because, I'm not an accountant myself, but it is super important to have your books in order. When you get to a certain point, you definitely want to have a business manager. So yeah, I can't necessarily say for like, because I don't know like specifically like how you're doing things. But it is important, to have that stuff in line for sure.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, outside of that was really one of my main things. I think that I don't know everything, and being in here to learn, I'm sure there's going to be some other people that have some questions. They're going to be able to help me with some other stuff that I have in there. So I'll let you keep moving and get on to the next guy.
Yeah, well, one of the things I had on my list is exactly that, is just, you're responsible for continuously educating yourself, because the music industry constantly evolves. There's one thing I like about the music industry. It's kind of fun to see how it evolves and changes, because, when we started the label, there was no streaming, there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram, it was just Facebook. Yeah, Facebook and MySpace. I don't even think there was Twitter yet, or if there was, it was very limited. Didn't know that you can monetize on YouTube. Like, it was just so much stuff we didn't know. So I think that everybody kind of needs to dedicate themselves to continuously educating themselves, tapping in with the MEC. There's other resources out there too. Indiepreneur has a bunch of great resources. There's a lot of stuff out there to for free that you can educate yourself. So what genre is it? Is it hip hop? What genre are your artist?
Yeah, like R&B type stuff. Alternative pop, something like that. Yeah.
And do your artists work to, like, so you're managing them now? Do they have a relationship, like the ones that you manage, or would they be, or
they're separate? But I mean, they have a relationship, but in terms of music, they stay separate. One of them will do engineering for the other every now and then, but other than that, they're 2 separate guys.
So one of the things that obviously contributed to our success is the value of like cross promotion. And this is another thing that I think we have over majors. Like, once you have a label and hopefully everybody gets along, likes each other, let's say you have 3 artists. Now you have 3 artists really locked in with each other, supporting each other, at least just posting each other's stuff, right? So like, if one artist has something coming out, hopefully the other artists are supporting it on their socials. Hopefully your label social media accounts are all in sync, so that it's not, if you're just doing music by yourself, then it's probably just you posting about it. But as you have a team and a label, everybody's cross promoting, sharing each other's fan base. I would collect emails from our website, and everybody would help us collect emails and phone numbers. We would share that data across so that everybody gets, you know, promoted to a wider audience when their specific album was coming out. So, and I don't think labels necessarily have that kind of coordination across artists, because the artists don't really, I mean, it's not even, it's when you sign up to be on a major record label, you're not necessarily signing up to work with the other artists. But I think the independent labels are more familial. You know, it's more, you know, you see each other pretty often, work with each other on the same conference calls, stuff like that. So I think that there's an advantage there too. So dope. Well, cool, man. I appreciate you tapping in. Good luck to you, and keep tapping into these sessions, man. I think you'll learn a lot.
For sure. Thanks, Dame.
Cool. All right, let's see. Augustine, what up, man? I don't see you got your video up. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I mean, I could put my video on, but nah, it's fine like this, right? You want me to turn on my video?
Yeah, nah, you straight. Go ahead. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, for me, just a bunch of basic questions, and I think some of the questions you had on your post, like, you know, do you have to have an artist before you start a label, or do you set everything up ahead of time, right? And then what exactly does a label need to offer an artist, right? So when you got with House, he was making beats and all this different stuff, so you guys had a lot of stuff to offer. But aside from money, what else does a label have to offer, and how do you attract talent and artists to your label?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just want to just start a label and you don't have any connection to an artist, like, it would be difficult. I think you need to start, and you don't have to. I mean, I guess I can imagine a scenario where, you know, if the immediate offer was just funding, right? It was just funding and a willingness to figure it out, right? I think there could be a scenario, but like, I think I don't think you can start a label without talent. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure you can't. You know, but in the beginning, you know, all I could offer was funding, and business acumen. Even though it was outside of the music world, you know, it's still a lot that I could apply just from a basic business perspective, in the organization and a structure and a willingness to figure it out. But I think more than anything, I think it was both. It was both the monetary, you know, funding, and just the willingness to really dig in there, figure it out, lift up, you know, roll up my sleeves and just, you know, do whatever needed to be done. It was driving. It was simple stuff like driving or covering his rent, or, you know, stuff like that, to more strategic things and trying to build out the team and reaching out to lawyers and things like that. So I probably wouldn't think of starting a label if you didn't have a connection to talent already.
Cool, thank you.
Was there something else? I thought there was one other question that I might have skipped over. Was there? No,
not necessarily. I mean, there's tons of potential questions, you know.
Right. We'll probably cover a lot. So I'll okay, for sure. Dope. All right, let's see. Lyrical, what up? Can you hear me? No, you can't hear me?
Hey, MEC, how you doing? Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
Did you have a question?
Yeah. All right. Well, my number one question is, I have an artist, right? He's been doing music for quite some time now, and he decided to brand his own self and start his own label, right? Okay. So we're tied in between the two, right?
Okay.
So I'm having a slight dilemma. I'm trying to figure out what should be your number one focus. Focusing on the business, focusing on the artist. Right. But it's hard because the two entities ties into the two. The artist is the brand. His label is what he prefers to start. He's been making music. He started making his own beats. So getting the company started, talking to lawyers, which we already started. We already did the USPO, with a USPTO. I'm trying to just make sure that I'm focusing on the right areas at the right time. It's a multiple bunch of things at one time that's being done. He wants me to be his manager, which is not a problem, as well as help him run the company.
Mhm.
But as well, he's the artist. He's going to be making music and all around, but as well as him having the time investing into the company himself, because it is his company.
Right. So your role is the manager. Now he wants to start a label to sign other artists, or he wants to start a label just to release his music through.
Both.
So eventually sign other artists, but for now, you know.
So,
and the question is, what, like finding the time to do all that? Where should his focus be? Like,
yeah, he's been doing a little bit of both, focusing on his music, constantly writing, building up his catalog, but as well as the business side of things too. So,
gotcha.
you know, we've been trying to come up with different strategies. You know, I've been watching and signing up for a lot of webinars, and I've been on your platform and watching your stuff for a couple of weeks now, learning as much as I can. You know, trying to do things in a professional business way. You know, being able to provide the best service, not only for a company perspective, but as well as moving forward, making sure that all, you know, the artist needs are all getting met.
Right. So yeah. So I mean, I mean, the bigger he grows, the easier it is to, you know, to run the label, or to grow a label, right? Because you eventually just meet more and more fans. And I just think he needs to just start thinking about, like, you know, his label branding and his artist branding, and whether, like, some artists will be fine, like keeping those very consistent, like those are like the same. It's like he's the head artist, and all the other follow into it. Maybe the other artists that he signed are maybe in the same lane. Right.
Yes.
Versus let's just say, so the label that I used to run, obviously, like, kind of the same thing. Like, Hobson had a big presence, and sometimes his brand overshadowed the label's brand. Right. But as we grew, I wanted to grow out of that, so that, you know, so I would sign an artist that was completely different than him, to diversify and try to break us away. Like, because it's great for the artist to have their own thing, and then, but I wanted the label to be different. Like, I wanted the label to be able to house different artists, with the only tie that binding them being they all could rap. Like, they all do different types of rap, but they can all rap really well. Like, that was supposed to be like the long-term branding of the label. So there are some artists that are like, I want to work with artists that are just like me, that in the same lane as me. So their branding and the label's branding can look very similar.
Yes.
Right. But does he want to build something bigger than himself, that's, you know, and other artists are welcome in, that are different from the music that he makes? That's just he has to figure out, or you guys have to figure out, if that's what the longer term play is.
And what you just stated, that's something that he wants. We've been having conversations on doing. Right. So taking things, you know, eventually to that whole other level.
Right.
No,
it's I mean, and you don't want to put the cart before the horse too, because it's very difficult just to get your own music off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the focus might just want to be there, you know, and just wait and not even worry about, like, I mean, you can still kind of rep it. You can still start the social media accounts and things like that.
Right.
But if an artist is not a full-time artist yet, and is not generating enough income to be their own full-time artist yet, I wouldn't worry too much yet about the label piece, because, you know, you haven't gotten yourself going yet.
Right. Okay. So for me, my number one question, and then I'm gonna let you go ahead to answer somebody else's. So we're just gonna focus on branding him, and then the company stuff will eventually follow. You know.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
When any investment, anything that needs to be done moving forward, because everything will still tie the two. It's just focusing on him, branding him, investing in him, anything that, well, the networking, catalogs, anything on that, side. Okay.
Yeah, I would really work on building out his presence because, as you build his presence, let's just say he gets to a point where he's happy and comfortable. That's going to make it easier to recruit like more talented artists, because right now there's probably nobody that's going to rock with him unless they're just friends, because it's like, well, what can you offer me right now?
You're right. You're right.
So, yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you tuning in.
Of course, all the time.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you too.
Bye. All right, Maxo Beats, what up?
How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. That room is kind of fly.
Thank you. I used my producing money to get it from BeatStars.
Oh, there you go. Shout out BeatStars, making people money. You make me want to put some lights up in here. I gotta get mine. I hate when people, well, I don't hate it, like literally, but when people come out, when people come on, they got better cameras and better lit room. I'm like, man, I gotta step my quality up.
Yeah, but that's because I was going to stream as well. I came here today because I'm 17-year-old. I'm a producer. I came here asking questions about how to contact record labels more efficiently to get in contact with their artists, because I have a decent presence in Maryland and like the DMV area. I have a decent presence there, and I can get the placements I want there. But say I want to work with a rapper in Atlanta, I don't have the connections and stuff that like I do in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I wouldn't really. I think what you'll find, when you're a producer trying to get placements, like it's not really going through the label. It's finding the people that work, day to day with the artist or the artist themselves,
like the engineer.
Yeah, possibly. But it's what I found is that trying to get connected to the artists themselves is the best. Because even if you send me beats, and if I still had the label and you send me beats, like I don't rap, they could sound cool to me, but it's like the artists kind of, they kind of take more of the initiative to work directly with. At least that's been my experience. But I'm trying to think if a label has an A&R role, then that's who you want to link with. That's probably the person that and I know that there are actually some independent labels that have A&R roles, or people that fill that seat. But that would be my suggestion if it is a label that has an A&R role.
Okay. Other than that, I don't know if I have that many other questions because I'm doing pretty well.
Dope, man. Well, congrats to you, man. You say you're only 17 too?
Yeah.
Dope, man. Young cats out here killing it. Love to see it. All right, bro. Dope. All right. Looks like, let's see. So we got more questions. Looks like, Andre's up in here. Andre, what up? I think you're on mute.
What's up, man? How's everything, man?
Everything's good, man. What's going on with you?
Man, just working good. Just wanted to slide through and kind of give a shout out to everybody on here. Just trying to, get some more information about running a label. I had a question for you that I think a lot of people may have, just to kind of instigate some more questions of sorts. How, when it comes to running a label in 2020, what do you feel are the basic agreements that need to be in place in running a label in 2020? Some of the basic.
Am I a sole owner, or is this a partnership?
Let's go with sole owner.
Okay. So yeah, as a label owner, if you sign an artist, you definitely need an artist agreement that outlines your responsibilities and what you're committing to. And you should have a lawyer on your side, and they should have a lawyer on their side to protect yourself. There are some independent labels, Funk Volume being included, that was both management and label. So if that is the case, and I know back in the day, people would consider that a red flag or something like that. But I think it's more common today, and there's ways to set it up so that there's no double dipping. There's no, all the things that they were concerned about in the past, that shouldn't be a concern, or there are protections to put in place. But the artist agreement outlines everything, in terms of ownership of the masters. But I would encourage, if there is a management component, for that to be a separate agreement.
Okay.
If there is a management component to the agreement, that, because if an artist wants a different manager at any point, it's an easier thing to transition to, if the management agreement is separate.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
And from what I've seen with my label and most independent labels, like the deal structures, they're more profit sharing agreements, as opposed to like royalty points or anything like that. So and the way we did recoupment is just profit share. So like if I spent $20,000 on an album, the album made $40,000, $20,000 went to pay down the expenses, and then we split the other $20,000 according to whatever the profit sharing agreement was. If it's 50-50, then it was 10, we each got 10. It wasn't traditional major label recoupment accounting. We did straight up profit shares. It was transparent. Everything was easy. And I think that I'm aware of some independent labels that do the shady recoupment math. But I think in today's environment, you probably want to look for an easy, transparent profit sharing agreement. Just make it easy on everybody. Yeah. Is there another agreement that I'm not, that you know about, that we should have?
Nah, I mean, I do, again, there's always, even I guess in some label situations, there are some situations where, as you even mentioned a little earlier, that there are some other relationships that become part of the label situation, i.e. management. So, those, again, you always got to tread lightly in those areas, because everything has to be distinct, and, you don't want to be in a double dipping situation, because obviously artists can know that there is no double dipping, but feel like there is double dipping, especially when they're only dealing with one entity. So like in a sole ownership type of situation, I could be your artist and you could have two companies, but I'm only dealing with you. So the way that I see it, you're one company.
Right.
But, even though it's two distinct companies, I'm still only dealing with Dame. So it's like, okay, I'm dealing with Dame, and Dame has me on the management side, and he also has me on the record label side. Yeah, he's getting both sides. And it really isn't like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So let me explain double dipping to the people that that maybe don't understand what we're talking about. So double dipping is when, if you are signed, if you have a management agreement and a label agreement with a label. So let's just say, it's a 50-50 profit share on some album royalties, and you get your money. The label takes 50%, but they also manage you. So they took another percentage from what you got as well. So they kind of dip twice. And the way we protected against that is, let's just say 50-50, if 50 went to the artist 100%, and then 50 went back to the label, but to calculate the management percentage, we calculated it on what the artist would get, but we backed it out of what the label got.
Yep.
Right. So the artist got 50 in its entirety, but let's just say 20% of that is management. So 10. So the manager would have gotten 10 of that 50. The artist still got the complete 50, but we took the 10 out of the label side. So 40 went to the label and
Right.
10 went to the management. I wish I had a chalkboard, because I'm sure some people are like, what the, like,
no. And see, and like, to give you, to even help to add that, like, I was in a situation where you know, I'm working on the management side and I'm also working on a publishing administration side. So I'm representing producers, a group of producers that I manage, and I also am adminning. And while they knew that there were two distinct companies, and I mean totally distinct, I mean like corporation distinct. On paper, they were signed to two separate corporate entities. However, I'm the key person that they're dealing with. So in their eyes, while they may know legally, okay, we have this company and this company we're dealing with, in the what they see though is they see Andre they're dealing with.
Right.
They see me every day. They talk to me every day. So what ultimately happened is to this whole point is that while they knew they were dealing with two separate entities, they felt that I was double dipping.
Right.
Even though I had it specifically spelled out, explicitly spelled out that, hey, look, whatever monies is generated from the administration, hey, the management does not take any of that money. The management does not take any of those royalties. Specifically spelled out. But they felt that way. And that's something that, you know, ultimately we as professionals that may be on here, and even as artists too, you have to understand that business piece and understand the type of relationship that you're getting involved with somebody, because it isn't always in the best interest of an artist or even a producer to be in a one-stop shop.
Right.
And I know we all know what a one-stop shop is. We've all heard it. Hey, you know, I can get this done in this one place. It isn't always like that, because when money starts really rolling in, and then there's all of these different areas where money's coming, now you're in a position where, well, hold up, you're just my manager. Yo, you don't get this too? Oh, no, I do get that. Oh, wait a minute, hold up. You mean to tell me you got to get this, and this because you're my manager, but you also collect from here? Yeah, technically on paper, yes. So you know, that's what's got to be very important to understand.
Yeah, no, it's super important to understand and for everything to be like super transparent, because people are playing different roles, and sometimes that's okay. You know, even the artist, like, you know, Hobson, the guy that you know, the my business partner in this, he was playing different roles. Like, he was signed to the label as an artist, but he's also the owner of the label, a co-owner in the label.
Right.
So, you know, you just have to be very careful and very transparent into how you are setting the business up to ensure that, you know, people know what's going on and people are compensated appropriately for the jobs that they are doing. So, and luckily we have tools, like I said earlier, that to make this a little easier.
Right.
So cool, man. Andre, I always appreciate you tapping in, man.
For sure, man. No problem.
Right. Peace. All right, cool. So let's see. We got Manolo or Manolo. I'm not sure.
Manolo.
What is it?
Manolo. Hey, what's going on,
Manolo.
man? How's it going?
Manolo. My bad, bro. My bad. What's up?
Nah, it's good, bro. Hey, I got a question. Let me turn off this fucking shit loud. I got a question.
You got the lights. You must be a producer. You got the lights popping too.
Yeah, I'm a producer, man. I'm in the lab, bro, all day long, man.
Okay.
So I got a question about it's a little bit off topic, so I don't know if it's like, I mean, it's definitely not relevant to what you guys are talking about, but it's you know, I know everybody in here, most people in here are producers. So the question is, so I'm ready to launch my beats. I haven't really uploaded anything, bro. I've been just cooking up for, you know, a long time. Reached out to some lawyers. I've been looking into publishing, you know, Song Trust, Sound Exchange, BMI, ASCAP, registered with BMI, XYZ, so on and so forth, right? So the issue that I'm having right now is I don't know if I'm overthinking it and I should just launch. You know, well, that's kind of what I'm hoping I could do. What I want to do, really, like, this is my plan, and I just want to know what your take is on this. I want to set up my copyrights. I want to go to copyright.gov, copyright my shit, I don't know if I can curse online. I apologize. My bad. But you know, copyright my music, right? Launch it, build up my platform. And once I build up the platform, then I can focus on collecting royalties from streams. You know, like I just feel like it's a little bit much right now, and it's kind of putting me in a paralyzed situation where like I'm kind of like I'm trying to learn the business and I want to hurry up and launch. Like I'm tired of waiting. I want to just go online. I want to do my stuff. What's your take on that, man?
Yeah, so you're right. This is off topic. We're talking about record labels, but just to help you out really quick, I mean, it's really not that complicated. You know, just go ahead and sign up with, you know, BMI or ASCAP, find a pub admin, Sound Exchange. I mean, just sign up. Like you can sign up for all this stuff in less than a day, and then go. You know what I'm saying? Like don't worry about it. But also our Thursday sessions are more like producer specific, and DJ Pain One, you know, he's got a bunch of stuff on this. But it's really not as complicated as you probably think right now, and you can get set up relatively quickly. And they're actually Dre in the comment section, he said contact him and he can help you out.
Oh, okay. Most definitely. I'm gonna check that out. I'll definitely reach out to him.
It seems like, I mean, there is a decent amount of stuff to know in the music industry, but if you just take your time, like it shouldn't be as overwhelming as you think it is, like going into it.
Right.
You know, there's a decent amount to learn, but you know, you could set all the stuff you talked about, like you could set that all up in a day.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So
okay, all right, most definitely, man. I apologize for the off time. Like it was on the fly, bro. Like I just saw the text message, I clicked on it. I didn't even know we could talk like this, so I was like, "Fuck it, let me go ahead and jump in real quick, man." So you know,
it's all good. But our Thursday sessions are producer specific too. So make sure you tap in with DJ Pain One and his sessions for sure.
Okay, I will do, man. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate what you guys do, man. Thank you. All right,
all good, man. Have a good one. Dope. Shane, what up, man?
What up, Dame? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
So I had a question on kind of the future of the record label. So like the last decade, we've seen this transition in the music industry into this online tool-centric, artists can do it themselves process. And a lot of artists have come out, like you guys were one of the first ones to do it independently in a way that was competing with the majors without actually, you know, having that major backing. And so I guess my question is, where do you see over the next decade, like we've seen all these transitions, no more physical album sales. Now they're, you know, everything on RIAA is through streaming, like all those different transitions. Where do you see it going a decade ahead of us?
Shit, I have no idea. I mean, I know that like bigger artists are probably going to jump ship from major labels and build out, you know, their independent operations. But it's a different thing when you're talking about like just your own music, right? Like just your own music versus like building a label of artists. You know, it's easier. I mean, even just doing your own music is tough, but it's easier to do it with just your artists as opposed to bringing on other people and having the stress and, you know, the expectations of growing other people's career, trying to foster some working relationships amongst the teams. I mean, I've seen a lot of artists, you know, be successful, you know, with their own music, but I haven't seen that many artists be successful turning their platforms into a successful platform for other artists. And I hope that that's what we see more of, because there's definitely an opportunity to do that, you know. And just speaking on what I spoke on in the beginning of this session, it's like anybody with a platform these days has the potential to turn it into a positive platform for artists, whether that's just, you know, to promote other artists or to be a full-on label. You know, I think we're going to see more platforms that didn't start within music, like get into music because of streaming and the ability to leverage the attention that you're getting from whatever, in my case, you know, our comedy, you know, our community, and turning that into, you know, a platform for artists. So I think you're going to see more of that. And I think you're going to see more artists jump ship from major label situations and build out their own teams. Because I think even people that are working for labels are, you know, there's more people leaving those systems that understand or have the relationships, and understand the structure, the infrastructure required to be able to mimic that for like a bigger artist. So I think those two things, you know, we'll see more of for sure.
Yeah, I really hope we don't give it all to Kanye for leading this.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. I think, you know, a lot of people are talking about like the problems of the history of the record labels and the problems with these recording deals and the problems that have existed for a long time. And we're kind of in this transition period, this innovative period. And I'm trying to, I guess personally, for the company that I've started, I'm trying to look at the future. What's coming next and where do we go from here? Like, how do we solve these problems? Let's not just talk about them. Everyone's got an opinion. You know, I have very few people's opinions do I respect. And I think you kind of agree. I see you talk about it a lot on Twitter and different things, but I think it's like, we need to figure out where to go from here. And so I'm just hoping we can kind of transition that into a more artist friendly, more artist forward, progressive process. So that's one of the things we're working on. And
yeah, I think more creative deal structures, you know, and that's already started. Shorter term deal structures, you know, again, talking about what we plan to do with Big Jaws, like, all right, let's just try this with an artist for one single, like one single only. To me, that's less risky for the artist and it's less risky for us. You know, if it turns out to be an artist that, you know, we don't have chemistry with or don't see eye to eye with, you know, it's just one single. All right, get out of our life. You know, let's work with the next artist. You know, so I think you're just going to see more creative structures, more creative deal structures, more creative like record labels that got built from, you know, maybe non-music backgrounds. So I think it's going to be fun. So
yeah, those pre-existing audiences are, and once you already have one of those, you can do a lot once you realize that potential.
For sure. Appreciate you tapping in, man.
I'll talk to you soon.
Indeed. Cool. Let's see. On these ways. What up, man? You're on mute.
Oh, okay. I
There you
should be
go.
on mute now. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
What's going on, man? I kind of want to piggyback on what someone was saying earlier when they were saying they have like an independent label that I'm looking at starting a label. Let me start there for just kind of like me and my music initially. And I wanted to know, and this may be a better question for like a CPA or an accountant or something like that, but when you were starting Funk Volume, did you factor in like, because I've heard in the past, I listened to this guy called, he has a podcast named Paid in Full, and he talks about the publishing and the master royalties and things like that. And he was talking about how if you are a self-administered songwriter / artist and you're going to register all your own royalties, that you should have some kind of like entity in place, like an LLC or whatever, to own your music. And that's for like to kind of like protect you in the future. You know, if someone goes to sue you for a song or whatever, they're suing the LLC as opposed to like suing you personally as you own the music. So I guess my main question is like, you know, did you, like when you were starting Funk Volume, did you guys think of it in that term? Did you go start an LLC? Was it like a partnership, S Corp or whatever? So I just want to kind of get your insight on that.
Yeah. So you're right. Again, I'm not an accountant, but I can speak generally to the idea of just protecting yourself. So as you grow, you know, you're going to want different entities for different things. So we had a separate touring company, or the guys had separate touring companies, right? Because touring is a very risky business. Like, let's just say the guys are out touring, you know, they were heavy into stage diving, right? No matter, even if tell them not to, they're going to do it, right? But that could be a risky thing, right? You jump off the stage, maybe you kick somebody in their face, their glasses shatter, cuts their eye, whatever. Like anything can happen when you're stage diving. So if they came after us, like all the touring was under the touring company, the music would be protected because that's not that company. It was a separate touring company. So that's at risk, but that's why you create different entities for different businesses, because running a label, you're right, is like 5 businesses in one, right? I mean, it could be management. It's got the music, the publishing, the touring, the merchandise. you know, and to protect, you know, those could be different entities, and it gets more risky as you become more successful. You know, less risky if you know, if you haven't really caught steam yet. So, you know, not necessarily run out and create all these entities and there's no money flowing into them.
Right.
And there's no risk there. But eventually, as you become more successful, that's one of the ways you protect yourself, for sure.
For sure, man. I appreciate the answer, for sure.
All good, man. Appreciate you tapping in. All right, dope. We'll answer maybe one more question and then we'll get up out of here. And we'll probably have to do this again because we didn't touch on social media. We didn't touch on merch. I mean, I didn't expect to be able to cover like everything as it relates to, you know, starting a record label in this 1 hour. You know, but maybe we'll keep it more structured next time and we'll cover like a specific topic for that entire hour so that we can dive deeper into some of this stuff. But Draza, what up with you, man?
Hey, what's going on, Dame? It's been a minute. How you doing, brother?
It's doing pretty good, man. You got a nice little setup too, man. Man, all you guys making me jealous with your setups. I gotta clean my room. I'm getting some lights, man. I'm getting some lights. I don't know if you got the lights, but the other cats did.
No, I'm a little too old for that, you know, 30 club. So look, I wanted to ask, I have a friend, a buddy of mine, actually, not a business partner, but he manages a multitude of artists, has some connections. He's got a small platform of his own, but he's been kind of talking to me about flirting with the ideal of transitioning into from a management company into being a record label. And I want to ask this a little differently. Then I know you're a real positive dude, but instead I'm going to ask you, scare me out of the ideal. What
of getting? I mean, I'll scare everybody out of the idea of even starting a career in music. You know, again, it's very risky, man. It's definitely less. I would love to see the success rates of people that were serious about starting a record label and how many were profitable after, you know, however many years. I bet you the number is super, super low, right? You know, I think that the number of successful restaurants that starts is super low, but I think starting a record label is riskier than that, to be honest with you. Like, I think you have to really believe in the talent, and really be in it. You know, you can't have any reservations, and you have to, you know, work day in and day out, you know, pushing that thing forward because there are different aspects of the business. And then when you talk about building with artists and managing, you know, artist expectations in the music industry, is tough because, I mean, we have industry standards for what percentage splits and stuff should be, but you know, we all want to do what's fair, right? It's easy to say, we all want to do what's fair. You know, people's perspectives on fair is different, right? You're going to start thinking you bring a certain amount of value to the table. And then, you know, the other person negotiating with your business partner or an artist or whatever, they're like, nah, that's not the value you bring. And then you just start, you know, but people want to be fair, but this the perspectives on what is fair, you know, and it's just tough to manage people's expectations. It's a tough business to start. And especially because you're probably not going to it's going to take a while to see some money. You're not going to get a ton of money out the gate or probably within the first year. I mean, we had success relatively quickly and we didn't see money for, you know, 2.5 years. And to me, that's quick. And for what I've seen, that was quick.
Definitely.
So yeah, I mean, I think you got to be all in, you know, and once you start signing artists, knowing that, you know, having the pressure of their livelihood kind of in your hands, you know, fairly stressful, you know, working with them through the highs and the lows, working with them when they feel like, you know, things aren't going the way they should. Yeah, it's tough, but, you know, there's upsides as well. You know, when you do have some success. So I don't know if that scared you or encouraged you.
Yeah, I was about to say, you said everything that I said to him. So I guess that I'm not going to get any help scaring him out of this idea. So it's all go for him at this point.
You gotta really believe in the talent, man. You gotta really believe in the talent, and you gotta really believe that, you know, they're in it as well. Like they're in it just as much as you are. You know, and yeah, ultimately, like if I didn't, I believed in the talent, but then I also like followed the numbers too, right? Like, you know, starting on Facebook and MySpace, and people have heard me say this before, but like, you know, I'm heavy into the numbers, and you know, if we got 1,000 followers today, and if it's 1,000 followers in a year, like something's wrong, like something's not working. But that was never the case, right? Like we would be at a certain number at one point, and then it was always increasing. It never stopped.
Right.
Like it never stopped. So that gave me more confidence. Like it's only a matter of time. Like, and not only did it not stop, it grew increasingly faster. So it was exponential. So that helped me stay in it. And you know, if Hopper, my brother, was down, like that helped me remind them, like, look how far we've come. Like let's keep at it. You know, I only think that doors are gonna open up, and if nobody opens up doors for us, then you know we got our own fan base. We'll open up our own revenue streams and sell merch, hit the road. Like we'll be able to make a business out of this if you have fans. You know, whether people open up the gates for you or not, you can make a business out of this if you have fans, because we have so many tools to go direct to fans and sell merchandise or start membership programs or tour. Well, you know, whenever we get back to touring, you know, that's the beauty of it. You know, the like I said in our session not too long ago, like there's gatekeepers, but there's a lot of different gates. There's no one gate that you have to go through that somebody's at the door saying you can't get in. So that's the positive, but you just have to really believe. Do you believe in the talent? Is the talent that good?
I mean, this is my buddy. I'm, you know, just trying to be the logical. He came to me for my advice, being this kind of like my field, and he's in the management, so it's not like he's a stranger to all this information. But being that, you know, you're the person you are, the position that you've been in, and the experiences you had, I just wanted to tap in and see if you had anything that would have maybe something that I had overlooked when I spoke with him, anything off the top of your head. But like I said, sounds like you know mostly spoke to that the human aspect / that little gray area for interpretation in contracts.
Yeah. Does he believe in the talent? Does he?
He does. He does,
okay.
and he has some good numbers to back that up as well. So,
Okay.
one more question. I'm sorry, I know this is the end, and I feel bad this is being the last question.
That's
If
all
I recommended, I have the same guy actually. He has a kind of a podcast, and I recommended that he reach out to you for an interview. And he said he wanted to do that. Asked me how, and then I realized, oh well, maybe the Facebook group. But since I have you here, is that something that would be okay to reach out to you about?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't guarantee that I'm pretty busy at the moment, but I could try. I mean, if it's a cool podcast, you know, I try to do as much as I can to share my experience and to help, you know, other folks out. So definitely, you know, just shoot me an email, musicentrepreneurclub@gmail.com, you know, with the link, and then I'll check it out.
Word them up.
Dope. Cool, man. Appreciate you tapping in. All right, y'all. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. I know that you know, there's so much to talk about when it comes to record labels, and instead of me kind of going down the list that I had, I wanted to kind of open it up and to take questions from you guys. But I realized that we're gonna need to do this again, and maybe we'll focus on like one specific segment of starting a record label. Maybe next time we'll just talk about merchandise and like the approach to merchandise, and you know what that looked like, what kind of deals you have with your artists and things like that when it comes to merch. You know, there's probably tens of topics that we can talk about. So appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate everybody that asked a question. If you have any other thoughts or comments, put it in our Facebook group. If you're not part of our Facebook group, just go to Music Entrepreneur Club in our Facebook group. I'm sure if you go to Facebook and just type it in the search, you'll be able to find it. Join our community there. We get a lot of great dialogue. going on. And shout out to BeatStars once again for sponsoring the MEC live sessions, making it free and open to everybody. And I will see you guys next Monday. Peace.